This is I Dare You with me, Francesca Escoto, your host, where professional women over 40 get the courage to embark on a new adventure. Hello. Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again. I appreciate your time and your commitment to being part of this community. Today, we have an amazing guest that I'm very excited to chat with, Vanessa Coppes.
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 Yes,
Okay.
Coppes.
And she is the founder and CEO of Bella Magazine or Bella Magazine.
Bella
Uh,
Media Company. Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
media company.
Yes.
That's exactly what we're
Yes.
going to talk about.
Yeah. Because
So
Bella Magazine I bought from the previous owners, but I founded Bella Media and Company. So yes.
okay. See that the story gets juicier the more we talk. So I'm very excited about that. I had subscribed to the magazine, so I
Yeah.
know you as magazine.
Yeah.
But we also are in each other's world as
Yeah.
two enterprising Latinas and
Yeah.
sharing community in the virtual world. So I am very excited to have you here. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining.
you.
And the reason I reached out to you, I see you as someone who is trailblazing in an industry that is A, primarily white, and B, primarily male in some ways. And so seeing you rise and just say, I'm going to do this, I don't need permission, I don't need to do it their way, right?
Yes.
So that
Yes.
leads right into what you were describing about the
Yeah.
acquisition of
Yeah.
Bella Magazine and then
Yeah.
all of that. So
Mhm.
say hello, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about how you became the leader of this media company.
First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to share my journey and my story with your community. As Latinas, I'm always heartened and grateful for opportunities like this because this is what we need
Mhm.
to be doing for each other. Becoming the CEO of this company is something that, I kind of had envisioned for myself, but never really planned for. And it just felt like when the opportunity came to me, uh, it I just had to dive, not even like head first. It was like full body and see where the universe would take me on this journey. And it's been incredible. To your point, I'm only one of 5 Latina women at the helm of a publication in the United States. So that alone, sometimes when I do the look at the statistics and look at the numbers, it's a little bit overwhelming to come to those terms and say like, wow, there's only like really 5 of us like out there like pushing. And The fact that I'm Latina is a big deal, as also especially because you don't see a lot of Latina women leading media companies. And that's why for me, as a former educator, especially, is super important because I have a sense of responsibility and pride, obviously, to kind of be carrying the torch, and to be able to model that for not just Latina women, but for the younger generation to see, to have them see someone that they could aspire to be also in their future.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, we're both Dominicans.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Just a little tidbit
Yeah.
there for anyone that.
I am
So, high five.
Dominicana. Yes, for sure.
Dominicana,
Yeah.
seguro. um, so one of the things that I really like to highlight with my coaching clients and my business clients is the need for courage
Yeah.
to do the hard things,
Yeah.
right? To decide I'm going to go for that. There aren't many doing this thing, but I know I can, so I'm going
Yeah.
to find a way, right? And so, where do you find that courage? How do you motivate yourself to do hard things?
Yeah. So I'm going to say something probably super cheesy and unconventional, but it is where I have always led from. I am a woman of just blind faith. And I believe wholeheartedly that I am doing and living what is meant to be my purpose in life. And I've had this vision for myself since I was 13 years old. I could see myself writing, I could see the New York City skyline. I think that's why you and I connected. You saw my post. I could see that so realistically in my mind, like I could just see it for myself. And I simply followed the blueprint or the path that of things that kept showing up in my life to lead me to this point. So, when you talk about courage, it is incredibly scary to take leaps of faith and to just do things that no one has done before, or that you have no clue. Because I was, when I bought this magazine, I was like Googling, okay, what's an editor-in-chief? Like, what do I do now? What do I do now with this? And thankfully, I found a lot of really incredible people along the way that supported me, right? And it wasn't necessarily always, your fellow sister in the media world, but I found, Google School, of course, but mentors from other industries that, would just guide me on leadership. And again, this map of how to do this just kind of came you know, from like divine download. And of course, I've been employed. I was employed by one of the biggest shoe fashion design brands in the country, which is Aldo Shoes. So I had some sort of corporate experience going into this, and I applied a lot of what I learned while in that company, to how I lead to this day. But there was no map, and there was no guide other than I had this vision. I have an opportunity to pursue it and to do something really good with it. So I'm gonna just jump all in, and I did.
Let's pause here and
Yeah,
talk a little bit more about faith.
yeah,
I know the anchor of my faith, and I
yeah,
know where that is, right?
yeah,
I'm not saying that others have to believe in what I believe, right? The anchor of my faith doesn't have to be someone else's anchor.
yeah,
However, I think faith is a recurring theme
yeah,
when I talk to
yeah,
people about being courageous.
yeah,
And especially when you don't have the blueprints and
yeah,
the steps 1 through 25.
yeah,
Sometimes all we have are step 1 and 2.
yeah, yeah.
And and so yeah, go ahead, talk to me about that.
I mean, the faith honestly just comes from, how I come from an entrepreneurial family.
Mm,
And I think that, you mentioned we're fellow Dominicans. I think that that's just something embedded in our culture. When I hear people talk about side hustle, I've always said I've had a side hustle since I was like 7. Like I've always done something to make my own money, or my mom
mhm,
always taught me how to sell something that I would make. Or, my father had a 9 to 5, but also had big ideas of creating his own companies, and would bring me to his office, at his corporate job. And I would sit at his desk, and I felt like the queen of that castle. And he would always say to me, you could have this, you could do this for yourself. So I was always encouraged, right, to be in a leadership position or role. And and the faith component was just something, in my gut, that always told me this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I just trusted it from a very young age.
mhm,
And both of my parents, encouraged me to listen to that. Because of some things that happened to me when I was younger, that voice kind of like quieted down, but the fire was still there, right? And as I got older, and as I matured, and I learned to find my path professionally, personally, and also finding a partner in life that never really understood the whole entrepreneurial journey. My husband is very much a 9 to 5. He needs to know what's coming in, what's coming out. And I had always just lived kind of like flew by the seat of my pants, because entrepreneurship is a roller coaster, right? Like you don't have those checks and balances like you would on a regular job. But the fact that he always also supported me pursuing my dreams and my passion, because this is what I do is what makes me genuinely happy.
yeah.
um and I just trusted that. And people have come in and out of this community that I've built over, especially over the past 5 years, because I've been doing this for almost 16 years. But since taking ownership of this publication and really kind of rebranding and relaunching this company in a different way has brought in an incredible group of people that, you know, are still with me from day one. And they just trust and know that what we're doing is something amazing. It's different. It's with intention. Fashion and beauty and highlighting, like, you know, lifestyle brands, they have the ability of really you know, changing minds and changing hearts. And, you know, if you picked up an issue of Bella, you would realize, you know, we're not a gossip publication.
Not at all.
We are not a tabloid publication. Even when we highlight and feature reality TV stars, we do it on a very, like, just
human is the word I would use.
Human, correct. We are highlighting these celebrities and these influencers in a way that you know, they could be proud of what they've done, because a lot of people, whatever industry they, you know, that they may have been, they're in, they have accolades, and you know, we let them, allow them to have their flowers. So it's the trusting and the knowing that it's for good, it's with intention, and that's what really has kind of set us apart from, you know, other publications. And to the faith component too, you know, when I bought this magazine in 2019, 8 months later, COVID happened. And that's, girl, you want to know if your faith has been tested. Woo! Woo!
Yeah. You know, I think of what you're saying. I was reminded today. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I do different things. And one of the things I do, I'm an artist. I didn't know I was an artist until, you know, somewhat recently. And so I was having a conversation with a gallery that wants to show my work. I'm excited.
Amazing.
And all that to say that the gentleman was saying to me, you know, you have to be true to your purpose. You have to be true to your calling. And you have been given a gift, and you will be held to account for the gift that you were given.
Yeah.
It is not for you, it is for the world. And so showing up, it can seem sometimes, and I say this because those of us that choose to stay on the stage and allow the light to shine on us, we put ourselves on a spotlight, literally, and you know, virtually, and it can seem self-serving, you know, but when you know that you were called or gifted, created, whatever the verb is, for certain things, and that you have something to offer the world, it is a courageous act, right? Because you're putting yourself out there, but it's also a blessing, right? You're wanting to bring something good for the world. And so not everybody's intention is there.
But that's where that understanding, like, that's where ego comes to play, and where you have to be detached from it. You know, I'm in an industry where it can consume you. And if you allow it, right? You're in the spotlight, you're on a red carpet. Like, I'm on a red carpet almost every week. I'm on TV. I'm meeting incredible celebrities, and that can quickly go to your head, and you believe that you are this, you know, superstar. And I have to tell you, the biggest blessing that I have found in all of it is, you know, again, how I was raised, how I was always brought down to the, you know, to reality, from my parents. My husband and both of my children hold me to the standard of, at the end of the day, when you come home, you are mom, and you are not this glamorous, you know, and we need you to be mom. Or my husband will say, I need you to be my wife. And that's like a reality check for me constantly. And I'm honestly grateful that I'm able to do that, because I can turn that off when I walk into the doors of my home, right? And to your point, when you've been given, you know, I knew from a very young age, and I had teachers who, and I'm so grateful for these teachers that pointed this out in me. I was very shy, believe it or not. I was like, never like to, you know, be the center of attention. Like, the irony of all of this, right? I never liked to do presentations in high school because I would literally almost poop my pants because I was so terrified to get in front of a group of people. But my teacher said, you have this ability of bringing people together. Like you have this gift of just connecting people and bringing community and building community and just making everyone feel a part of something. And, I was told growing up that I should be in public service. And I was like, I don't know about that. But can I do something, and still look cute in the process? Because I
Yeah.
always wanted, I wanted to put my lipstick on and my heels. But it comes at the cost of you sacrificing a lot of yourself in a sense that I know for me, and I can only speak from my experience, that this is not about me. I am so clear on that. And I've had people over the years say to me, who do you think you are? And I always say, I'm a child of God. And I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And if it's your cup of tea, let's share it. And if it's not, there's plenty more others that you can have. And it doesn't have to be this one, But I've gotten also very comfortable with having those conversations because I feel like as women, as leaders, as entrepreneurs, the self-sabotage, the imposter syndrome comes into play a lot of the times where we, talk ourselves out of opportunities because we are outshining or outdoing. And you know what? My biggest thing, and I will coin this phrase because I've said this, especially after I acquired this publication. If it's not you, it's going to be someone else. So why it not be you? And when I own that for myself, right? And we can be humble, we can be grateful, empathetic, compassionate, but if you're called to step up to the plate, then do what, you know what I mean? We have these desires, we have these dreams and these wants, and we're wishing and wanting for these things to happen in our lives, and the opportunities then present themselves, and we're like, I am so ready. I learned this in a networking group when I first started my first business many years ago, and you have to be ready for whatever that moment was, with the headshots, with the bio, with the assets that, if somebody all of a sudden emails you and reaches out, are you going to go get professional headshots done? You're going to miss out on the opportunity because you're not ready. So I've just always been ready for the opportunity to present itself, and whatever opportunity that I felt was in alignment with what I was doing, that's what I've done. Because I've always also been guided by this phrase, let no opportunity be too small for your time. I believe that there's opportunities, opportunities are a dime a dozen, but you have to look at them. And if they fit and if they align with your mission, then go for it, because you never know where that will lead you. And I've just always been someone to just, take action on that. I'm tired. I can tell you that. I do get tired. But at the same time, when you do it from a place of service, which is what I've always done, the blessings do come. And that's not a cliche. When you're doing it from the right place, from a place of goodness, of kindness, of generosity and compassion and empathy, the blessings come, and that's where kind of like that pat on the back comes into play then, and you can say, okay, thank you, universe or God, whatever your anchor is, thank you for that. And that's not my thank you, more please. That's what I say.
Yeah. The Jabez prayer, enlarge my territory. Like I can take on more, give me more. I want to bless more.
That's been my mantra for our 2024, expand my territory. And I think I'm well on my way. For sure.
That's very, very good. Congratulations on watching things unfold. So you're tired. I get tired, right? How do you recharge?
So I am a avid journaler. I wake up 3:45 in the morning, and I know that sounds super early, but I go to bed at 8:30. So, I get rest. I am very focused on self-care first thing in the morning. I journal, I pray, I meditate, whether it's over my cup of coffee. As I'm preparing for the morning, I exercise. I feel like exercise is such a huge component for my mental health, especially when I don't exercise, I don't feel well, I don't function well, I can't show up, properly. And some things will always be off. But I write, everything that comes down to my to thoughts, and every morning I write things down. Like I just mentioned, I have a set of mantras that I write, which is like my goal for the year, and I do that every year. I have self-care moments. I travel by myself. Frequently, I do that at least 2 to 3 times a year, and my husband knows that that's just part of my self-care. It's how I recharge, and I'm able to really get like my creative juices flowing. My team knows that when I come back from a trip by myself, they're like, "Oh God, here she comes," because I come with a list of like new projects and new ideas. But that's been the blessing too. I have an incredible team that can execute because I'm really good at starting fires. I am terrible at keeping them going. So I delegate a lot to my team. And that's part of the blessing and the reason why I'm able to be where I'm at is just because I have an incredible team that supports, the crazy ideas that I have. So yeah, but I take self-care very seriously and, try to shut off as much as I can during the weekend unless we have something pressing happening. But, like I try not to look at my phone until Monday. And I do take pause. I don't check emails until I get into my office at 10:30, 11 o'clock. That's when the emails start to roll because those moments, and I think as entrepreneurs, we think that, oh my God, I got to answer the emails will always be there. It's like the dishes when you're home. Like there will always be a sink full of dishes. So you take it, one thing at a time. And it isn't true that right now is going to make you more productive or more effective. Yes, of course, be responsible, and professional with your responsibilities, but if it's after 5, that email can wait till tomorrow morning. Like there's no reason to stress out about it because that's the downside of entrepreneurship. I think that, in an effort to get more done or because we are doing a lot of the things on our own, and trust me, I've been there. I was the executive, the assistant, the driver, I was all of the things myself, the website designer, the logo creator. I was all of it too. And you have to pace yourself, you have to give yourself some grace in the process also.
Yeah. So hearing all that, 2 things stand out to me, and I want you to tell me more. One is I'm very curious now what your exercise routine is and what exercise looks like for you. So that's one. And I say that because I think people get complicated. High performing individuals exercise. And that's just across the board. When you look at executives who are doing the thing, we exercise. I am not at the weight I want, but it's not due to lack of exercise. So, I want to hear, like, what is your routine? What is it that you do? So that's one. And then the other thing is what gives? People think when they see women who are out there, go-getters, entrepreneurs, they think that we do it all.
Yeah.
But we don't. And I can tell you, in my case, that looks like laundry piles up. It just does. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Right. But what is that thing for you? Right. So those are the 2. Like, what is your routine? And tell me about what gives.
Yeah. So exercise, like I mentioned, is incredibly important to me. Right now, I'm focused on, I actually went back to the gym. I had not been to a gym and group setting classes in probably 7 or 8 years. But I had been working out at home. I have like the mirror, I have the Peloton, we have a really nice gym. My older son works out, also here at home. And I just skive gyms, through the pandemic. I was like, ew, gross, whatever. But at the beginning of the year, I came across a really huge health scare where I ended up in the ER and they thought I was having a heart attack. And it just turned out that it was a hormonal imbalance, and I'm in perimenopause and all the things.
Welcome.
So yeah, but mine was clinically induced because I had a hysterectomy at the beginning of the year for another set of reasons. But exercise, the exercise that I had been doing clearly was not enough. I had gotten very comfortable. I love yoga, and I've been practicing yoga for about 5 years, but it wasn't enough, and I needed to do more cardio, and I needed to definitely do weight training, like actual weight training.
Resistance,
women under 40 have to lift weights to build muscle, because that's what's going to keep us going as we age.
That's right.
So about a month and a half ago, I started in Orange Theory. It's a gym. I think they have them in Florida also, and I absolutely love it because it's an hour. You go in, you take your class, you walk out, and you're done. Like, it's done. And it's fun. You have a group of people who are holding you accountable. They motivate you to come back every day. I got like 3 or 4 of my friends around here also involved. So we are like the 5 a.m. crew. We go in the morning, work out, and we meet up on Saturdays if we have time to do it on a Saturday class. And it's been such an incredible journey to do that because I don't feel like I'm doing it by myself. So it's extremely motivating. So, and it's HIIT training. You gotta do a little bit of cardio, but you definitely gotta do your weight training. And then
now, Orange Theory, if I'm not mistaken, is also very scientific. Like, you have the equipment that is strapped on, so you're like very much.
And that's what I loved about it, that it was heart rate focused and it's individual, and that's something that was extremely important to me because even though you're in a group setting, you're still working out at your pace for your body type, what you need, because they ask you all those questions, and and you're working out within the heart rate range according to your age, your weight, your BMI, all those things. So that was like super important for me because you have to understand that those aspects of your fitness are important for you to keep track of. And then the what gives part, I mean, one of the pleasures that I have, one of the luxuries are, I have a cleaning lady that comes and helps me at home. And on occasion, we have the takeouts, and because I do, for the most part, do a lot of the cooking dinner time here at home, just because we've been on a healthy, eating journey. And the only way you can truly track healthy eating,
you have to cook at home.
You have to cook at home. There's no way around that. My husband and I a few years ago got on this nutritional path where we were just, meal prepping. And honestly, that is the formula for healthy living. Is you have to plan ahead, and you have to meal prep. Like, that's something that any athlete will tell you, like, that's the key to success. But I have help. And also, to your point, the laundry piles up, the dishes don't get done, the sheets don't get changed. There's sometimes a week goes by where the laundry's clean, it's just not folded. So I'm digging, my clothes out of the laundry basket also, especially during the months where I'm traveling heavily for work. And, understanding that that's just part of the process, this concept of perfection, of balance, that I think that we've been brought up to believe that this is the key to success. I will say this: organization obviously is a very important part of your well-being, when you're working from an office space that is decluttered, etc. But the reality is that does not look like that every single day. If you can win 2 or 3 days a week and your desk is clear, congratulations. If it's a busy week and it looks like a crapshoot, then guess what? You're living your life and you're doing what, it looks like a normal reality. And I gauge it by the joy and the happiness that, you can read the room in your home, you can read the room in your office. If it's working, you'll have happy kids, you'll have a happy partner, you'll have happy colleagues and team members. Otherwise, the structure, I think the pandemic helped a lot of us kind of break away with those old concepts of what a corporate setting could look like. That's what gives, is understanding that we're all human, that we need help, that if we need it, there's actually more power in asking for it than anything else. And I ask for help quite a bit, actually. And I allow the people who can support me do their thing, because either I don't have the time or I just don't have the capacity to do it. So, yeah.
You know, you bring up a good point there. I think the whole work-life balance, for me, that even that sentence is outdated. Because it somehow it insinuates or suggests that life and work are at odds and they have to be balanced. And so I'm, you know, that doesn't work for me. And I think that we find balance on a daily basis. So the day that my daughter, I have 3 daughters, the day that my daughter needs me, well, the other things are not as important that day. But then the next day I have a big project for whatever, and that takes priority, right? And so it can't be that every single day my kids are number one when they don't need me to the same degree every single day, right? I mean, I can do that, you know, it's according to my values, but I don't have to. I have the discernment and the wisdom to say, well, today this is the thing. And then tomorrow will be another thing. And maybe I even think of my life in that way. You know, well, like people close to me always say, oh, there's your word, because I use the word season. You know, for me, life is lived in seasons.
I 100% agree with you on that. And I also think, to your point, you know, for any mothers that are out there listening, you know, more and more as you, even as you find other women who are, you know, kick-ass leaders out there, you will find that the recurring story is that they make their children a part of what they're doing, so that the guilt of leaving them or not being present for something, you know, I had my oldest intern for me for a month and a half during the summer, and that was something that was non-negotiable for 2 reasons. Number one, he needed to work. That's like, he has to work during the summer, whether it's for me or for someone else, he has to have a job. And number 2, this is potentially his inheritance, right? Like this is the family business. So if it's something that he wants to pursue in the future, he needs to also learn the ins and out of it. It's something that my parents did for me from a very young age. Like I remember when my mom had a bakery, I was ringing up customers, you know, in the Dominican Republic. So, and I had shifts twice a week where I had to work and be a part of it. I did plenty of dishes. My mom was a chef and a baker. So imagine, I grew up around all of that. And when I wasn't at the front, I was in the back helping. And that's just, you know, your children are incredibly resilient, and they appreciate the fact that you're making them a part of it. Like my son will look at my, you know, when he worked with me now during the summer, he said I gave him the most soulless job, which was data entry. And I was like, tag, you're it. You know, like you're the new kid. You got to do the suckiest job, but but it's still a job.
Right. And it's still important.
Exactly. And it's super important for what we do. But he also got to see me, you know, in action, where he can understand, like, I get why you have to travel for XYZ and not be, and honestly, you know, thankfully I'm in a position right now where I travel if I absolutely have to travel to be at something or a part of something that a client requires me to be at, etc. But also my kids are older and they can, you know, fend for themselves. And when I can bring them along, I do, because the perks are room service. They love a good room service when we travel. So, you know, I bribe them with that. I'm like, you get to order room service if you come with me. But it's also a new experience for them too, for them to see, you know, the world and see different states and areas that they wouldn't otherwise get to experience. So, you know, that guilt, I think, as a mother is always there, but it tends to become, you know, just a more trained muscle as you continue to just move forward and do your thing, because trust me, the kids will learn, and they do understand for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So what is your next big audacious goal? What is next?
So I am looking at 2 new territories for Bella in the States. We've covered obviously quite a few. You know, when I bought this company, we were already a national publication. The pandemic actually helped us become international, which was really, really, you know, exciting and amazing. But specifically, there are two new territories that we're attracting business in. So, you know, obviously they've seen what has worked in the territories that we're currently most active in, which is the East Coast, Miami, and also LA. But I've always had a very active Midwestern community, and I believe that's because, you know, when I used to be a blogger and when I started, you know, my husband's originally from Iowa, so that community kind of embraced me, you know, for being, you know, his wife, and they were like, you know, she's so glamorous and she's so fashionable. And it's just been kind of interesting to see how that has evolved over the years. But that's the goal, to kind of hone in into those two territories that we're looking at, and continue to do what we're doing. You know, I feel like, and just fine tune it. It's become such a really well-oiled machine. Thankfully, especially over the last 2 years since I've been kind of leading this pack, and I have just an incredible team, and you know, just continue to do it. And then I actually found myself last week, okay, how much more can I do of this? Like, how much longer? What's my time frame, right? I think I got another 10 years in me, but we'll see.
Oh, wow. That's a good chunk of time. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Listen, my mom is 73 and she's still at it. So I don't know. I may not be slowing down anytime soon.
It's in our genes. Yeah. We just got to keep going. We just got to keep going. Now, this has been so, so good. I want to ask you more questions, but I can't because we're going to run out of time. You know, some of the things that come up for me is, what does it take to expand into new territories? And does courage still come up? You know, like, are we still afraid of doing new things? It is a true statement for me, but I'm just curious for you, real quick.
You're asking the wrong, like I always say, if you're asking me to talk you off a ledge, you're asking the wrong person. Because I am the most audacious and risk taker person that you will ever find. Like, I feel like not trying and not knowing is you know, the regret. So and I've tried, you know, silently going into new territories and see how we perform there, and they flopped, and we're like, okay, let's cut our losses and get out of here quick before, you know, there's more losses. So I feel like you need to, if the indication is there that there's an opportunity and you can hone into it, and again, like, if you can replicate what's working where it's working somewhere else and you're receiving like good feedback, then that's how you know that there's an interest. And the interest isn't necessarily, you know, hundreds of thousands of people flocking to it from the get-go, because that territory has no idea who you are. So you kind of have, it's kind of like starting from scratch. But you do it strategically. And you know, I welcome risks. I welcome opportunities. I'm always then like, oh my God, you know, I knew it. We should have tried it. That's the feeling that I hate to feel. When I don't try it, when I don't go for it. But also in due time, you know, I try to find a team that can support the vision there immediately. Like, that's what happened with us in Florida. It took us 2 years to fully be in Florida. And the reason why was because the interest started, right? Like, we were getting called, we were getting invited, we were getting hired to come and do, etc. But then I was like, well, I don't live in Florida. Who's going to manage that? You know, and I'm only one person. So I had to find a group of people who could manage that there. And once I've had everyone in place, then we officially launched. And now it's like, you know, doing its own thing. But that's how you do it. And that same thing with LA, you know, when we went back, because Bella had a presence in LA many years ago, but then it kind of flopped because there was really nothing happening there, because no one was really managing it or handling it. But yeah, you know, to the point of the conversation we were having before, asking for help, finding a supportive staff. And I know that many people listening may be like, well, you have the money to fund that, or you have trust me, when you do it strategically, the money will find itself to you. If it's meant to happen, you're going to find a way. And I do extra projects within the company that help fund like those new projects, right? Like, because you can't take money away from what's working to, fund, new ideas that have potentially no outcome. I always say, well, when this client signs or when this project comes through, then we can pursue this opportunity.
Absolutely. And I tell people, be a risk taker, but be wise, and calculate your risk, saying yes to something doesn't even mean yes today. It could be yes in 2 days. It could be yes in 2 months, because there's things that need to happen. It's just being about making things happen.
Of course.
So for sure. All right. Now I have more questions about all of that, because I know people are thinking, okay, well, at first you were all the things. You were the secretary, the cleaning lady, the whole thing. And obviously you grew into having a team and being able to delegate. And so that's part of the journey. We're not going to talk about it today, but if you want more help with that, that's my expertise. With my engineering background, I work on operations and helping people develop the infrastructure to grow. So it's definitely something that you can do if you're listening. Don't worry, that's not where you start. You start small and then you grow. So for sure. All right. So to end our conversation, what are you reading?
I just finished reading A Woman Makes a Plan by Mae Musk. We actually just photographed her for our September issue cover. And I have to say, you hear about Elon Musk, obviously, what he's built. As a mother myself, I went to the core. I was like, okay, but who raised him? Because that didn't just happen on its own, right? And the opportunity of interviewing her for this issue came, and of course I do my research, and I read her book. I devoured it in 2 days. Her story is truly one that is remarkable, because it's quite literally unbelievable. You would never think that a woman who has built what she's built for herself came from, where she came from, and has done it with so much grace and so much integrity, which is I met her, and what an incredibly kind and gracious woman, despite of who she is. But her story as a woman, as a mother, a wife, I'm talking domestic violence, I'm talking poverty, like you would never believe that a woman like her came from that. And she did, and she rebuilt herself multiple times over, and that's, to me, is really commendable. It reminded me of my mom. It reminded me of myself, my own journey as growing up when my parents divorced, and moving from different places, etc., and having to restart all over again. Which is very difficult to do. I guess that's why I'm not afraid of risk taking, because I was like, it may change tomorrow. So that. But I do flip-flop between, personal development books and self-help books to romantic, and mysteries books. You got to have some sort of fun in between that. So I on my list, because I'm traveling tomorrow, is The Lady in the Lake. I've been wanting to read. I've heard it's like a really, really good book. So that's the next one for me.
Okay. Well, Lady Tan's Circle of Friends.
Okay.
You have got to find that one. That was my last fiction read, and it was beautiful. It is fictional history, which is what I like. Or historic fiction. I don't remember how those go, but it's about a female doctor-ish in China in the times of the dynasty and whatnot, and women were not allowed to become doctors, and so it's her own journey and her circle of friends and the people
very
that
cool.
So it's just an amazing book. It's beautifully written too. So All right. Well, Vanessa, where can people find the magazine, especially the September issue that you were talking about?
The September issue, we released the cover in 2 weeks, so be on the lookout for that. But if you go to bellamedia.co and all of our social bellamedia.co, you can find information on how to subscribe or purchase the issue when it comes out. And if you want to follow me, Vanessa Coppes on social, I tend to be very much myself on social media. You will find very serious posts, very powerful posts, and very funny posts. Tidbits of my personality, and a lot of pictures of my dog because my kids won't let me take pictures of them anymore. So I have to compensate with the dog.
Hey,
so there's that.
That's the kid they get.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Vanessa, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so
much. It's been so good to have you. I am looking forward to this issue. Now I want to know all about Elon Musk's mother. So can't wait.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.